Welcome to Echo of Crime YouTube channel. On the morning of January 11th, 2013, Kendrick Johnson, a 17-year-old senior at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia, began his day like thousands of other students across the country. Kendrick was known among friends and family as polite, determined, and deeply focused on his future. He was an athlete who loved sports, especially basketball and football, and he often spoke about going to college and building a better life for himself and his family. There was nothing unusual about that Friday morning, and no one who saw Kendrick arrive at school could have imagined what would unfold hours later. During a break between classes, Kendrick walked toward the school's old gym. Students frequently passed through this area, and it was known that some athletes stored personal items inside the large, rolled-up gym mats that were stacked upright along the wall. Shoes, in particular, were often placed inside the hollow mats to keep them hidden or out of sight. According to classmates, Kendrick had previously kept a pair of sneakers in the gym and may have gone there to retrieve them before heading to his next class. As the school day continued, time passed quietly. Classes changed, hallways filled and emptied, and teachers went about their routines. But Kendrick never made it to his next class. At first, his absence did not raise alarms. Students sometimes ran late or skipped periods. It wasn't until later in the day that staff and students noticed a strong, unusual odor coming from the gym area. When school officials investigated, they were unprepared for what they were about to find. Inside one of the upright gym mats, Kendrick's body was discovered upside down, with his legs and shoes visible from the top. Emergency responders were called immediately, but Kendrick was pronounced dead at the scene. The position of his body was shocking and difficult to comprehend. The mat was narrow, tightly rolled, and standing vertically, not a place anyone expected to find student, alive or dead. News of the discovery spread quickly through the school, sending shockwaves through the student body and staff. By the end of the day, law enforcement arrived, the gym was sealed off, and Kendrick's family was notified. What should have been a normal school day had turned into a nightmare. Almost immediately, questions began to surface. How long had Kendrick been inside the mat? Why had no one seen or heard him? And most importantly, how did a healthy teenager end up dead inside a school gym during regular hours? Chapter 1 of this case ended not with answers, but with a discovery so disturbing that it would haunt the community and the nation for years to come. As the shock of the discovery settled, investigators moved quickly to explain how Kendrick Johnson had ended up inside the gym mat. According to the official report, students at Lowndes High School commonly stored personal items, including shoes, inside the hollow center of upright gym mats. Investigators believed Kendrick had gone to retrieve his sneakers during a short break between classes. The theory stated that he entered the mat headfirst, lost his balance, and became stuck in a position where he could not breathe. The medical examiner initially ruled Kendrick's death an accident, citing positional asphyxia as the cause. Authorities explained that his body weight and the tight space inside the mat prevented him from freeing himself. They emphasized that there were no immediate signs of a struggle at the scene and no witnesses who reported seeing anyone else involved. With that conclusion, officials believed the case was straightforward, tragic, but not criminal. However, the Johnson family strongly disagreed. They questioned how a physically fit teenager could become trapped without drawing attention in a school that was active during the day. The gym was not isolated, and students had passed through the area multiple times. The family also raised concerns about visible injuries they felt were inconsistent with an accidental fall. These doubts grew stronger when they learned that portions of surveillance footage from the gym area were missing or unavailable, creating gaps in the timeline of Kendrick's final moments. Seeking answers, the family requested an independent autopsy. This second examination reported findings that contradicted the original ruling, suggesting the possibility of blunt force trauma. While these conclusions were disputed by officials, they intensified public concern and reignited debate over the true cause of Kendrick's death. What was once described as a simple accident now appeared far more complex, with conflicting expert opinions and unanswered questions surrounding the handling of evidence. As these revelations became public, trust in the investigation began to erode. Protests formed, social media amplified the case, and national media outlets started covering the story in depth. For the Johnson family, Chapter 2 of this tragedy was not about closure. It was about fighting a system they believed had failed their son. And for the public, the mystery surrounding Kendrick Johnson was no longer fading. It was growing louder. As weeks turned into months, the death of Kendrick Johnson became far more than a local tragedy. Kendrick's parents refused to accept the accident ruling and began publicly challenging every stage of the investigation. They questioned how evidence was collected, why certain procedures were not followed, and how such a rare and disturbing death could be explained so quickly. For the Johnson family, the case felt rushed to closure before all questions were answered. The controversy deepened when details about the handling of Kendrick's body became public. During the autopsy process, it was revealed that Kendrick's internal organs were not preserved in the traditional manner, leading to further outrage and suspicion from the family. To them, this made it harder to ever get clear answers about what truly caused their son's death. These revelations sparked protests, community meetings, and nationwide conversations about accountability, transparency, and trust in local authorities. As media coverage expanded, the case reached a national audience. Civil rights activists, independent forensic experts, and true crime investigators began reviewing publicly available evidence. The family filed multiple lawsuits, naming school officials and others, alleging negligence and misconduct. Although several of these lawsuits were eventually dismissed in court due to lack of evidence meeting legal standards, the legal outcomes did little to calm public debate. Instead, each dismissal fueled a belief among supporters that the system was protecting itself rather than uncovering the full truth. Federal agencies, including the FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice, reviewed the case after public pressure intensified. Their findings echoed earlier conclusions. There was insufficient evidence to prove Kendrick's death was the result of a crime. No arrests were made, and no charges were filed. For officials, this marked the end of the legal road. For the Johnson family, it marked another painful reminder that official conclusions did not align with their unanswered questions. Years later, Kendrick Johnson's death remains one of the most discussed and controversial cases in modern American true crime history. Online forums, documentaries, podcasts, and social media debates continue to analyze timelines, surveillance footage, and conflicting expert opinions. The case has never fully left the public eye, not because of what is known, but because of what remains uncertain. Chapter 3 does not close with justice served or a mystery solved. Instead, it ends with a family still grieving, a community divided, and a case that continues to challenge faith in official explanations. Long after the gym mats were removed and the school returned to normal, the questions surrounding Kendrick Johnson's final moments remain unanswered, unresolved, and deeply unsettling.